Summer is here, which means we all want to look and feel our best. A GLP-1 may be right for you. Visit orderlymeds.com to learn more about which GLP-1 you could be eligible for. Getting started is fast, easy, and happens virtually through telemedicine from licensed professionals. Check it out for yourself. Go to orderlymeds.com/podcast. That's orderlymeds.com/podcast. Taking care of yourself feels great. Compounded medications are not FDA approved. Eligibility required and determined by a licensed provider. Individual results may vary. See website for details.
The idea is you have calls coming in. How do you get them to who you want to handle those calls in the most efficient way possible? Are you handling all your calls? So how do you handle that? Because we need to be able to handle those calls, because 85% of the calls that are missed, they never call back. And in that kind of scenario where you have a lead that came in and you didn't handle it correctly and you didn't route it to the proper person, you've just lost that lead, even though you spent the money to generate it. So you've not only lost the potential revenue opportunity, you had an expense on that revenue opportunity that you're just eating. And I think that's where it all ties together.
Today's episode is brought to you by one of our show partners, UpFrog.
UpFrog is the OG when it comes to pricing transparency online. They find system replacement leads through paid ads and have developed an entire system to drive those hard-to-find system replacement opportunities, nurture the leads, and book them into sold systems before your team arrives to help you grow your business.
Hey, I'm Krista with MarketStorm, and we work with home service companies across the country. Quick question. If another HVAC or plumbing company in your area starts influencing homeowners before they ever hit Google, who gets the first call? By the time someone searches plumber near me, they've already been researching the problem. We use AI to detect those early intent signals and put your brand in front of them. So when they do search, your name already feels familiar. Visit marketstorm.ai or text us at 213-575-5448.
Hello, everyone out there in podcast world. Hope you're having a wonderful day. You're listening to our Watching Service Business Mastery podcast. I am one of your hosts, Tersh Blissett, sitting virtually next to my co-host, Joshua Crouch. And today we have Chris Nelson on the show today with CallRail. We are going to talk a little bit about AI voice, call classification, integrating CallRail or your VoIP system into CRMs. And one of the things that we were talking about before hitting record is just the fact that there's so many things that like we're throwing AI at stuff, whether it's to solve a problem because it's a shiny object, which it is a very shiny object right now, or maybe it is sometimes we've tried the AI voices, the AI call analysis. It didn't work for us because we didn't train it, because we just threw it at a client. I mean, or we threw it at a problem and didn't actually train it, which we've been guilty of even with human employees. But with that being said, I'm excited to get started with today's show. Chris, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Tersh. Thank you, Josh. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. Josh, you got anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, let's just dive right in, because I think the conversation that we were having right before we went live, which always seems to be like, we literally, if this is just like a I don't know, a secret for you guys, like what happens before the show. Cause I think sometimes people, they only see the finished product and they're like, yeah, what happens before the show? Well, we talk about all the good stuff and then we get to the show, like, oh, great topic. Oh, great topic. And then we start and then we forget about 60% of those. And we usually try to recoup them like, oh yeah. And then we'll try to get that topic because we want to make sure we bring like best, most relevant content to you guys. And we were doing that with Chris beforehand. So CallRail is a partner of both the podcast and then Relentless Digital. We use CallRail for all of our clients. So we're extremely familiar with this. And really the important piece comes down to understanding your data and having data to analyze. And so Chris is going to go into some new stuff, and maybe we can start there. We can start with some new stuff and then we can go into how do we use that data to make better decisions for our business. So I know CallRail's got some updates and some things that will be relevant for a lot of people, especially if you don't use Service Titan, which we always feel like the whole world and at least our small part of the world uses. Everyone's like on Service Titan, but that's not the case. And there's a lot of other CRMs out there. So Chris, do you want to go over some of those updates first before we kind of get in the meat and potatoes of some of the other things that they can do with that data?
Yeah, absolutely. And even for those who use Service Titan, because we are enhancing that Service Titan integration that we have as well.
You guys do have your CallRail integration as well.
So, I think, really the two big things that have gone on with respect to us and we've introduced this voice assistant product that we have called Voice Assist, which allows contractors to, not miss another call, be able to sit there and have those calls answered just as an extension of, the existing call flow that comes into your business. So you might have it flow into a team member right now. That team member might be too busy. That team member might have something that's going on, where they're handling 2 other calls at the same time. This is an extension of that and allows you to use AI to answer those calls so that you don't lose out on those leads. So we've introduced that, and then we've sat there, and as we've gone through, we have multiple integrations with various field service management platforms, ServiceTitan, Jobber, but we are also going to sit there and enhance what we have with Jobber. So we're going to roll that out within the next 2 weeks. So you will then have scheduling capabilities with Jobber actually in the Jobber platform, as well as the ability to sit there and work with other integration partners that are new to us, like Workies, Job Nimbus, Job Tread, each of those to really enhance how we can work with contractors throughout the home services spectrum.
Now, Chris, with those integrations, can you tell me, because I don't use some of the platforms and I'm not 100% familiar with them, what does it mean to have an integration with them?
What we have right now is we can take the calls that are coming in on your call tracking number through CallRail, and we can send over all of the lead details to whatever that platform is that you're using, that you're actually working in on a daily basis as a contractor. What you're scheduling jobs out of, what you're looking through and dispatching people out of. But then also you can sit there and you can move the summaries of the calls that have come in on those call tracking lines, as well as now with Voice Assist, you can take all of the Voice Assist information and actually with the Jobber integration as we release it and what we want to do with other integrations going forward, ServiceTitan, House Call Pro, all of those that will allow us to do it, is really to be able to take the contextual information that is in that platform and allow the Voice Assist to utilize that in the call with a potential customer.
Nice.
That would be interesting. I mean, think about being able to like pull job history or open estimates or
Estimates is what I'm thinking.
things
Yeah.
that work that they didn't move forward with, and be able
Yeah.
to pull that into an AI to use, which I think I feel like that's kind of where everything's going to eventually head, where we have this hybrid of where AI can pull some data, because obviously like a human would have their job record up and their location and all their history and can see everything. So if we're having questions, we can pull it up right there on the spot. But pulling and clicking one by one and trying to ask questions on that stuff is really hard to do while you keep a conversation going on the phone.
That's
where AI
true.
can kind of analyze all that stuff in split seconds or nanoseconds or whatever's really small.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know what number.
you
I mean,
all know
we're
anybody
being
who
introduced
has
to all
worked
kinds of crazy numbers. We have our first trillionaire. Now we got like, I actually thought to myself, like, what comes after trillionaire? Is it quadrillion? I don't even know, because like we've never talked about numbers that big. Sorry, Tersh, I'm derailing us here.
You're good.
But it's all the rage right now, at least as we're recording this. Of like,
Yeah, it is.
everyone's got an opinion and a comment
Well,
on
not
it.
only that, it's like we are transitioning into the external brain era. A mentor of ours, Ari Mizell, he has talked about an external brain for years and years and years, but it wasn't as automated as it's possible to build now. And so like, I'm personally working on it. I'm working on it with some clients, building out external brains. And this is a perfect example of an external brain, having that AI be able to like scroll through all of your data for the history of this client at the same time as it's having a conversation with the client, and then saying, hey, oh, by the way, you've consistently had clogged drain lines. Every year we've gone out there for clogged drain lines. Like, let's be preventative about this. Let's do a maintenance or whatever.
Well, and arming the technician with that information. I mean,
Yeah.
it allows the service call to be better, because again, technicians getting a call and they're hitting direction and they're going. They're not sitting here analyzing an account for 20 minutes inside of their iPad. So the more information that they give, it's like handing LeBron James an alley-oop with nobody in front of them. It's just they're gonna hit slam dunk that ball. So it's the same kind of thing with technicians. The more we can give them, the better we set them up for success. So I like that you guys are doing that, where you're going to try to analyze what's in there and also be able to pull that in from the AI side of things to have a conversation about some of that stuff on the phone.
Well, and it ties into what with a technician, making their job easier.
Mm-hmm.
You have an environment where they're hard to find. Good ones are hard to find. And so being able to provide whatever tools you can provide to make that job easier for them as they drive around on a daily basis, I
For
think
sure.
goes into your retention on that end also.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Chris, I wanted to get into data a little bit because we taught, and so literally last night on my personal Facebook, I took the last 90 days of calls from CallRail. I think it was like 125,000 calls or something like that, and analyzed like the source, because what I've always liked about tools like CallRail is you can pull the source. So like, let's say they land on the or your Google Business Profile listing, they go to the website, they look at some stuff, they might call you on the website. Google Business Profile gets the attribution for that because that's like the initial entry source. What we're realizing, I had some really great discussion with people, and then we had some discussion with you as well, is just how messy tracking is these days, because there's so many touch points. I mean, what is there, like 6 or 7 main social media platforms? There's Perplexity, Gemini, funny in the data. And this was really fascinating to me because most of what we do is SEO. We have paid ads and some other stuff, but DuckDuckGo, Bing, and even Yahoo had more referring sources to websites that converted than ChatGPT had. Yahoo is still alive. Like, I didn't even know Yahoo is still around. Like, what
about AOL? Is AOL still around?
I didn't see AOL on there. But the difference is, like, I had a contractor who's a client of mine. He's like, but when we ask customers, a lot of them are telling us that they find us on ChatGPT or Claude or things like that, but they're not converting from there. They're not clicking to the website to go convert. So it's really hard to track that specific source, because it's almost like we don't fully trust these AI engines. So we're getting recommendations, and then we're going somewhere else to go, like, well, let's go check out their reviews. Let's go check their website out. But we're not necessarily clicking through from there. So I feel like there's this gap in how we track those conversions.
Do we have the ability to track if I'm on Claude or if I'm on ChatGPT and it makes a recommendation and I click it from ChatGPT, is it telling whatever tracking tool we're using that it came from ChatGPT? You can see that.
If you're in ChatGPT's interface and click a website and go to that website, you can see it. But if you get the recommendations and then you just go to, like, open up a new tab and go to Google or something or whatever and type something in, then you can't. And it's such a hard thing, because, like, as marketing, we present data and everybody wants to know what's going on. Like, the problem is so hard to figure out because humans search in so many different ways. Some people are power users and they use it all day. Other people are just like, what is the GTP? I've heard that one a lot. GTP. And I'm like, you don't even say it right. I know you're not using it.
Yeah, I mean, we just introduced the ability to attribute out of ChatGPT as part of CallRail. So
you can.
There's definitely that we've added, and we have an integration with them now that allows you to do that. But at the same time, the broader issue that you're talking about, one, I think there's information overload. There's so much data out there. It's a question not of, do you have the right data? It's more a question of, do you have the right data than do you have data? And within that, are you able to understand what the data is telling you, or are you just overloaded by it? I think that's
what is it? Analysis paralysis. You're just like, I got too much information at this point.
Yeah. And I think that the other thing that, Josh, you were talking about was all of these multiple touch points that are along a homeowner's journey to sitting there saying, this is the contractor that I'm going to use. It's not linear, and it's not truly clean in the sense that I went here and I clicked on this and then I ended up at your contractor. It's, I saw your billboard. I saw a flyer. Maybe you were in the neighborhood the other day, and I remember your van in the neighborhood. Maybe it's a combination of all three of those. But when I end up, there's a lot of, I think, attribution that goes to Google that is probably not necessarily driven directly by Google. They get a lot
I
of
would
people
100%
sitting
agree
there
with that.
saying, hey, I saw this and then I went to Google to look you up, and all of a sudden it pops up as Google. Well, that's not necessarily the case. There were a lot of different things that brought you to Google.
Yeah, I mean, social media is a huge part of that, right? I've had a few people comment on that same thread that I'm surprised social's not higher. I'm like, well, for our clients, we don't do a lot with social. So there is some, if you had someone that like, if I was just doing it for Relentless, I would say social is the biggest driver for us. We get most of our leads through organic social, Facebook groups, or meta ads, bar none.
Yeah.
Like that's by far our biggest source. And that's why my face is on content every single day, because I know what drives us leads. But we'll still get, the website will show conversions because they click through to the website to the page to book a call. But it is nice because we can still see the front end attribution. I started having to figure that out. Like, how do we get this to a sheet so I can actually see like broad scope? Is it Instagram? Is it Facebook? Was it mobile? Was it not mobile? Like, where are they? Like, as soon as you have data, like, I feel like the biggest problem we have in the trades is, one, I know there's a lot of data everywhere, but it's lack of understanding what the data is telling you. And the fact that we don't, like, a lot of, especially small companies, a lot of the ones you mentioned, and I'm not trying to offend anyone like on WorkEase or Jobber, you're probably a much smaller company than most of the ones in the trades that are, 10 million plus, which are all on like Service Titan. You just don't, like, you don't know how to track, or the platform doesn't allow you to track. So you don't even have what is like the basic numbers, like what is my call booking rate of qualified leads? What's my percentage of technicians that convert once they get to the home? What is my average ticket on those? So that way you can start making decisions. But that is like the very first layer of data that we need that in order to go deeper, and then to go deeper, because there's just so many layers to data. And I feel like with CallRail and CRMs and stuff, like if we can just start getting to the point of stop just using it as a place to collect money and run jobs, start using, like Tersh and I think we talked about this last week on podcast. I don't even remember who it was. It's like, what should the use cases of AI be? Because a lot of people there's nothing wrong with having an overflow for AI call center, but I feel like people are going too far where they're trying to replace their call center team, and they're losing the customer experience. And listening to those calls can be, it's like a little bit of nails on chalkboard. You're sitting there, you're listening to them like, ooh, I wouldn't have, it just doesn't like flow real well. And they don't even, but we're not even listening to that. We don't understand. We just need the calls answered. Yep. We don't care what happens to them afterwards.
Yeah.
So
like I said earlier, we aren't training them. We're not training the AI tools properly. We're just like we do with technicians. If we don't have a proper onboarding process, we're just like, here you go. Here's your van.
Realistically, who wants to listen to phone calls? Like we all have important things to do every day. Listening to phone calls it is very important, but does not feel like it's the most important thing. When customers are calling, they're complaining, you got a warranty call, you got this, that, and the other thing. An employee calls out sick, you got to change the whole board for the day. But that's one of the big reasons, like for us, at least on the CallRail side, like we can quickly go and like get all the summaries in one tab. I can go filter by source. I can get all the summaries for a lot of this is like Google ads, because that gets expensive fast, and those usually book at a lower rate. All right, what calls are we struggling with? Give the client that, like, okay, let's do some training right here, because like you're spending $150, $200, $300, $500 a day, and you're like, these opportunities you're getting crushed and you don't even know it. So that's where some of this stuff is so important to have. Like if you don't have something that can actually tell you some of that stuff, so you can actually see how your team is doing, you're flying blind, and flying blind in today's world is just a no-go. Like it just can't happen. It's not 2020 anymore. It's not everyone can grow just by being a home service provider and having a truck and tools. We're in an economy now where, Tersh, I think you were saying, felt a little weird, almost like, I don't know if it was you or Chris, but it felt like 2009, 2010 a little bit for you.
Oh yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yeah. I think Chris mentioned that too, about clients talking about that.
Oh yeah, that's right. You said you had a landscaper or someone that, or I don't
Flooring.
know, maybe
No,
you can go over the
it's just
story.
guys that I
Flooring.
worked with in flooring who were saying that they're feeling very similar on the residential side, where the residential traffic that is coming in, especially residential replacement work, back to levels that were 9, 10, 11, is how they're feeling in terms of the traffic that's coming in and the leads that are out there.
Did they mention why they feel that way, or just like what's attributing to that? Is it credit card debt, financing not getting approved? Is there something specific that they mentioned, or is it more broad?
It's just a broader slowdown that they can't quite put their hand on what is creating it. And you hear one month you'll hear the economy is going bonkers. The stock market is up to 50,000 or whatever it is. And then the next month you'll hear that there was a negative jobs report, and then the following month you'll hear that there were 3 times as many jobs as we were expecting there to be. And it's just that kind of moving back and forth. People can't quite place their finger on what they're seeing walk in the door or what they're not seeing walk in the door.
I seem to have a lot of relevant threads for this conversation, but I had one last week where I was asking questions about like the repair versus replace market. Because my general gut feeling just, it just seems to be most people are repairing and
I've
sticking to
been
it.
doing that since you and I had Billy on the show talking about this. I mean, that's been
So somebody actually commented that episode, which was 3 years ago already, about talking about how to make repairs more profitable.
yeah.
Because again, the trades, especially, Tersh and I come from HVAC. So HVAC has always been get the box replaced.
Yeah.
Like it's to push that
Swings
way.
and boxes.
Repairs are like, collect a couple $100 here. I don't really care about that. Even though the really crazy thing is if you actually broke apart the gross margin on repairs versus replacement, repairs can be significantly higher.
It just takes more. It
takes more of them.
Yeah,
But
that's the
you
problem.
think about it on a given day, like when it's hot, your technicians, let's say they got 4 calls, even though we all know they probably got more in the summer.
Sure.
If they spent their time and did a good job and they repaired all, especially with multiple techs, you probably make really good money doing that. It's not going to be the top line that you're really like. Everyone always wants that top line number to be so sexy. Like, I want to hit the next 5 million or 10 million or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's how much money you got home in the bank account that you can actually use that matters. But nobody, those threads, I don't know. It's just a topic nobody wants to talk about publicly.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. The expenses are lower, but the thing about it is you have to manage the labor. I mean, you're whenever you're doing a lot more service work, you have to be very careful to manage the labor.
Well, and then again, do you have the right pricing structure?
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of people aren't priced right, but we did it. Like one of the reason I asked is somebody reached out to me in a Facebook DM and was asking about, I think he was asking about the episode or just asked what my opinions were, some repair stuff. And he had focused on it once the replacement started drying up, financing and stuff started being a lot more declines, people just not interested in replacing their system. They want to keep it going for another couple of years. I think it was last year he realized his average ticket on repairs was like $400.
Mm-hmm.
So he focused on, I know what he was at. He was asking for an AI tool that put together options. That's what it was.
That's what it was. Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I mean, you can probably do that with the main models now and just integrate it or have some sort of API connection. But he's taken his average repair ticket from 400 to 1,000 in less than a year. And he's like, it's opened my eyes completely because now when you think about it, it's the same service call, an extra $600 per service call per day per tech. It adds up quick, especially even if you just got a couple guys. So it's just interesting data, and I apologize, I'm taking over a bunch of stuff. 'Cause I feel like all these conversations are so important that we're having right now, but it all comes back to understanding what's going on in your business and then pivoting when things feel different, which they do feel different right now. It's not easy anymore. It's very challenging to get homeowners to open their wallet and spend a big purchase.
It's definitely not 2020 and 2021 time frame where it was easy to come.
That was fun though. That was fun. It was like every day there's another $15,000, $20,000 systems. Like, this is easy.
Yeah.
Money was pretty much free. It was awesome.
Hello, home service professionals. Do you want to maximize your marketing budget? Then you need to be using call tracking from CallRail. Let's say you noticed a spike in new leads this month. To find out what's driving them, you just log into your CallRail dashboard. Is my new Facebook ad outperforming my other ads? Or is paid search knocking it out of the park? Or maybe it's time to retire those newspaper ads. Since CallRail assigns a unique phone number to each of my marketing efforts, I know where my best leads come from and which efforts to scrap. CallRail shows you your most cost-effective marketing channels so you can get back to business. Go to callrail.com/SBMpod and try it for free.
Quick question. How many calls did you miss last month? Not how many you answered, how many did you miss? Across the home services industry, about 30% of inbound calls go unanswered. And those aren't just tire kickers, those are customers ready to give their business to whoever books first. Breezy fixes that with AI agents that answer every call, they book the jobs for you, and they follow up instantly. So instead of waking up to missed calls, wake up to book jobs. If you want to see how many jobs you're losing right now, go to getbreezyapp.com, use code SBM, and they'll give you $500 towards Breezy on us. Now back to the episode.
So, Chris, I wanted to ask you, get back in the call insights and stuff. So we have more data on this, but I want to hear your thoughts too, because you talked before the show about routing calls and using CallRail's internal routing system to maximize the opportunities that you have. Can you talk a little bit more about that and, explain that to people that don't understand what call routing or call trees and stuff like that looks like?
It's interesting because, I had our customer service team at my previous company for about a year and a half. And that was maybe the most difficult job I had, was to manage that team. We had, 750 calls a day or so, stretched across 40 customer service reps. The idea is you have calls coming in, and how do you get them to who you want to handle those calls in the most efficient way possible so that you get them on the phone, get them the experience that you want to provide to them, and then move them through and get that call finished so you can get to the next person, right? It sounds simple. In reality, it's very, very difficult. It's something that I think lots of people, if they spent more time on it, it would really benefit their business. What we have is, we look at it, we have call tracking numbers. You sign up with CallRail, you get a call tracking number. It could be a source number that's tied to your billboard. It could be a website pool that's tied to your website. And then the question is, who handles the call when it comes in? Do you have a person who's handling it on your team? Do you have, do you not have a team member? Are you handling all your calls? I mean, if you're handling all your calls, that's really difficult. Maybe you're 1, 2, 3 people in a truck, right? That's really difficult. But maybe you've also got 15 locations, right? So you've got to figure out how you're going to handle those calls. Do you have overflow? Do you have after hours call coverage? Do you have call coverage when somebody might be, on leave, so that you've got a team that was 10 and is now 8? You've got to look at those and think about those. You don't have the ability to hire somebody because, you can expect somebody to be sick or to be out pretty much every day of the week, but that doesn't allow you to justify an additional body because you don't have that within your expenses. So how do you handle that? And so the question is, okay, based off of where we're routing things right now, you can route them to your team. And then how do you handle those when you can't route them to your team? You sit there and you take that call and say, okay, we've got a voice assistant that we're going to route it to, because we need to be able to handle those calls, because 85% of the calls that are missed, they never call back. And in that kind of scenario where you have a lead that came in and you didn't handle it correctly and you didn't route it to the proper person, you've just lost that lead, even though you spent the money to generate it. So you've not only lost the potential revenue opportunity, you had an expense on that revenue opportunity that you're just eating. And I think that's where it all ties together.
I was just thinking about this, and I don't know if you have any contractors or anyone that you know of that does this, but because I think one of the biggest concerns most people have is, one, yes, answering the phone, but we all know that there's a lot of spam and solicitation calls during the business day that eat up time on the phone, so that they're on the phone with someone who's trying to reach the owner. Of course, we probably know that's spam or solicitation. We're trying to get off the phone. The other line's ringing. We can't pick it up right then. And then by the time we pick it up, phone went, it died. The person hung up, or it was an abandoned call. Are you seeing any usage or adoption where people are using AI as almost like, it's like you call the hospital where you call in to get the receptionist, and the receptionist directs you where you need to go. It's like AI be the receptionist of sorts, of like, hey, what are you calling for? With a nice, friendly greeting. And then, okay, if we know it's a service call and someone's got water heater leaking, boom, we know we're going right to the human, the CSR team. If not, maybe we're taking a message, or we're just writing it down, or they're sending an email after the AI is send an email, a Slack message or something like that to, hey, this person called. Don't know if you want to call them back. Here's the information. Are you seeing any adoption with that? Or more as like an AI receptionist that was almost plays like gatekeeper and funnels things? Or what other ways are people using the voice assist product to help with their business besides just, having used it for overflow?
So you're definitely seeing it as a gatekeeper. And the ability to then warm transfer it to a live person on your team so that they can sit there. The AI is handling whatever the call is. It's taking initial caller details, potentially what the issue is that that particular homeowner might have. And then if it triggers, it has a particular word that triggers, I don't know, a heating unit out or something like that, right? You can program those so that every time that is referenced in a particular call, it then goes straight to a warm transfer to a live person who can then handle and walk through that call right then and there. And yeah, we're definitely seeing that.
How long does it take to train that agent?
The setup is something that the more time you put into it, the better the results are, right? Very similar to the discussion that you all have had about training of a tech. You put time into it. You sit there and say, this is how I want it to handle things. These are the situations I want it to work with. These are the situations that I want it to transfer. These are the details that I want it to collect. This is how I want it to answer the particular call. You spend that time in the initial setup phase, and the results will be what you want them to be as you move forward when the calls start rolling in. And, the same way you would train somebody who you're working with at the human level, you are going to continue to monitor. You're going to continue to listen. You're going to continue to understand what's going on with the particular calls. And you might tweak those in the same way that you would come over to your frontline team member and sit there and go, hey, I heard what you said on this call. I think it's better if we positioned it this way, or if we had this kind of conversation with this person. You take those same tweaks and you use that with the voice assistant, and you do the same thing, and it improves the results that you're trying to get.
Well, I was going to say, so whenever we're doing certain things, it's like you don't know what you don't know until you know it. Like sometimes you don't know what the keywords are until you've missed a call or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
my question on top of what he's saying, because I was thinking the same thing, is like, if I'm a small owner operator and I haven't been doing and having all these hundreds of interviews with really smart people and learning all the stuff that Tersh and I have, and I don't know, I know, hey, if they want service, go here. Like that would be my initial inclination, but I don't know all the nuances of that. What would you recommend? Obviously, if it's a small company, the owner's going to have to look at that stuff. But is there a recommended thing of how often should you be checking in on that stuff as a small company to make tweaks?
I would look at things every month.
Okay. You think months
not
is enough?
necessarily? Yeah, I would continue, but it's going to start more at the initial phase. I would look at kind of phase it in of, okay, I put all this effort into setup, and I'm going to baby it for 2, 3, 4 weeks to start out with, so that I would almost be listening to every call that came in that was handled by a voice assistant. And as I continue to understand how it's handling things and what it's doing in different situations and different things like that, I would tweak it. And as I felt more and more comfortable going forward, I think the oversight becomes less of an always on need, and something where you can pull back a little bit, the same way you would if you're training a frontline team member.
That's good tips. I think out of the box, everyone just wants it to work and just take the overflow calls or replace their human answering service. And obviously there is no easy button in life. I know everyone
We are getting closer, I think,
Looking
to
for that
more of
silver
an easy
bullet.
button. But you got to listen. You got to do the back end work. That you got to optimize. You got to analyze. Like the beauty is with data, like you can export calls, and CallRail's got an API where you can take that API, throw that stuff into a Claude or a ChatGPT. You can analyze. You can help analyze and like, hey, I'm trying to make tweaks to my AI voice assist. Here's all the calls with the AI voice assist. How can I make this better so it flows better? You can ask it questions like that too. So you don't necessarily have to be the most intelligent person in the room about this. You just need to know how to use the right tool for the right job. Just like you're in a home, you use, I don't even know what the names of the tools are. Tersh is going to make fun of me. So I do.
I was just waiting to
I'm
hear
not
it.
that bad,
I wanted to hear
but
it.
I was beating Tersh to the punch because he was going to make fun of me. But
I
use the
was.
right tool for the right job, and AI can help. Like the whole thing with the 125,000 leads. I definitely didn't analyze that myself. I had an AI tool that I know spits out really good information. Go into CallRail because it's connected, pulls all the information, put it in a chart for me. And then I looked at it, I'm like, okay, what does this tell me? And then you can take it from there. But there's so many cool things we can do with that, especially like analyzing data sucks. Like it's not fun. I don't think anybody really likes that unless you're like,
Some people do. I'm not one of them.
you're special.
I'm not one of them.
I like knowing what the data is telling me so I can go do the next thing. That's
I remember
the part
standing up on stage in front of hundreds of people and saying, who likes doing this? Who likes listening to phone calls? And
There's
two
always
people
somebody.
raise their hands.
Yeah, I know.
and
There's
was
always
like,
somebody that like, and I'm like, really?
You sure about
There's
that?
something wrong with you?
Well,
I'm
I mean, it goes
teasing. If
back
you're
to why did
listening
you
to
get in the
this and I
business?
just offended you. My address is in Meadow, Georgia. Send a nasty letter to that address.
No, that is my address. Don't send me any hate mail.
It goes back to why do people get in the business? Most of them did not go into business so that they can read or listen to phone calls and conversations.
That's
Right?
true.
That's not why you got into the business, to do what you're doing.
Funny and ironic is as you grow your business, you have to understand that stuff because otherwise you'll hit a glass ceiling where the problems that are there, it's in your data somewhere. You just got to find it. But we all don't get in business to do that. We go in business to solve a specific problem that we saw, and then we end up having to learn how to do this stuff, which is always a fun challenge.
What I mean, way back in the long ago days of the 2010s, like the only way
That's
that
a
I could
long time
understand
ago.
what was going on with the call was for me to sit in amongst the customer service team.
Yeah.
And,
Just
either
over
that or I had to go
listening
into
over the shoulder.
Mitel and listen to every call. I had no idea what was going on other than that. So if
I
we were
remember
running a
having my
promotion-
office. Well, my office was right next to CSR's, and
Yeah.
like we had talked about moving me to a different part of the building, and I was like, as a service manager, I was like, no, I need to be within hearing shot of the CSRs so that they say something and it triggers in my mind. So like I get up and go in there. And so like it's almost using us as that replacing us as with that. Does that make sense?
I mean, if you're running, like maybe you're running a summer special, you want to know that everybody is on the phone talking about that summer special. There's no way for you to physically do that by listening to every call. This allows you utilizing, our product is PCI, Premium Conversation Intelligence, but an AI product allows you to take a look at every call and be able to pull out, okay, like we were running a Beat the Heat special. Can I see every call that mentions Beat the Heat? And then you can know, and based off of your CSRs, you can know, did this one mention it? Did this one mention it? Did this one mention it? Because you want to be able to make sure, because those are things that are profit leaks that you need to have, or you're positioned to maximize the amount of revenue and the amount of gross margin dollars you've got coming in the bank.
Yeah, well, I mean, these tools are here to capture potentially lost revenue. I mean, it's revenue that leads that we've already paid for, leads that we've already worked for, even if it's an organic lead from a Facebook post. Like we put in the effort, we did all the work to get those leads coming in the door, and then we're too busy because we're overloaded with spam calls or something else, and we missed the actual lead that we put all this work and effort into. getting.
Yeah, and it's as we talked about, the fact that it's harder to get big tickets. That means we have to increase efficiency.
Yeah.
Right now, at some point, this will turn around and it won't feel like it does now. But right now, probably for maybe the next 6 to 12 months at least, more efficiency is the name of the game right now. The more efficient you can be, the easier it will be for you to stay profitable, to grow your business, steal other people's techs when they're slow and they can't keep them busy. But if you're not efficient and you're booking at 45, 50%, which I know a lot of people scoff at that number, it's a lot more realistic than people realize, like way more realistic than people realize. The numbers inside of their CRM usually lie to them. It's important to be digging into that stuff.
Chris, you mentioned, I think before we started recording, the percentage of people who you cannot get back in touch with. What was that if you don't book the call the first time?
85% of the calls that come in that you miss do not call back.
That's crazy. Like that's a lead that you just paid a couple $100 for, or you've done work for.
It's literally lighting stuff on fire.
It seems like a huge number, and that can't be right. But try calling a contractor in your area for a project at your house.
That's true.
You will realize really quickly that nobody answers
in your backyard. You want to pull and some palm trees put in your backyard.
Well, I've heard this from other people. Like Laura Kelly shared a story one time. I think she was looking for like a landscape or something, or I don't know, even if like a hardscaping. Called 5 people. I think 1 answered, and like only 1 other person got back to her within a week. I've seen studies like this done. I've even referenced all of them. It's crazy.
My mom was just telling me about this story. Okay, so they took down a wall. It was not load bearing. My mom's doing the work, or some of the work, but she had a flooring contractor. So like they had hardwood floors, like really, really nice, thick hardwood floors throughout the house. And where they took down the wall, well, all of a sudden now they have, 6-inch gap where there's not flooring, and they need to fix it with the flooring, So she called like 6 contractors. 1 showed up and took her sample of the flooring. Like they had like a little bit of sample in the basement left over from when the floors were originally put in so many years ago. He took that one, gave her a quote. She's approved the quote. It's been like 6 weeks, and he's like, hasn't come back, hasn't done anything with it. And then she can't get any of the other contractors to answer the phone with this, just to do this flooring. That she, like, when she told me the price, I was like, Mom, that's really high. I'll pay it. I can't do it. Whatever the contractor says it's going to cost, I'll pay it. And like, I didn't put up a fight or anything. And they just won't come out there and do the work. They won't call back. And I'm like, dang, Mom, like, that's crazy. It's just, it's a wild time for me in my brain. Like, that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because you talk to contractors and they're like, hey, we need more work. I don't know. Apparently in the flooring industry, they don't need more work. They ain't answering the phones, that's for sure.
That is very interesting. I mean, I think there's some of it that I think you only have so many crews. You only have so many jobs you can do.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
So you're running up against that too.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Which just goes back into, if you can only run 3 crews, you've got to maximize the amount of margin dollars you get from those 3 crews, because you just don't have the labor to do anything else.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Josh, you got anything else you want to add? I know we love talking about
there's a lot of good stuff in here. So feel free, any of this stuff like this, these are great questions to be asking, whether you ask in our Facebook group, you ask us, like, these are all, some of these operational questions are definitely things that Tersh and I talk about a lot. If you're looking for a call tracking solution, like I said, I've used CallRail the last probably 5 years now, 5.5 years. It's been great. We love it. We got, in the last 90 days, 125,000 leads that have gone through that. And we use that platform all the time for our own reporting and tracking. So it's definitely something that can be useful for any small business that needs to understand what's going on in the call center.
If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to reach out to the team over at CallRail. If you want some non-biased information on it, let us know. We're happy to help. We both use it. We've used it for a long time, and are happy to share exactly what we've done and how we've experienced it. But with that being said, Chris, you want to add anything else before we go?
I would just add that I appreciate the being on, and we just love working with home services providers. We think they're a great fit for us. We've got more than 10,000 contractors as customers, and we'd like to continue to grow that number to the moon and back.
Absolutely. Cool, man. We appreciate you hanging out with us. We'll see you later.
Yeah, no, thank you all.
We'll see you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Service Business Mastery. Now that you are equipped with essential business advice from this impactful conversation, you are one step closer to becoming the successful owner of your dreams. If this episode has been helpful to your business journey, don't forget to subscribe to the show, leave a rating, and share it with other owners as well. Visit servicebusinessmastery.com to learn more.